Section 4.4, polynomial division and the division algorithm, has two basic sections. The first subsection is division by a monomial, and the second subsection is division by a binomial or more terms. So basically we use two properties of real numbers to divide by a monomial. First is the distributive property, right, which is actually applied to the reciprocal of the denominator. So it would be applied to 1 over x here, right? And you just distribute that. So basically what it amounts to, if you look at it carefully, is you're just dividing, if you go from here down to here, you're just dividing each term by x. You're distributing the x in the denominator. Then you have to reduce, and this doesn't reduce. These cancel, so you get minus 2, and this cancels with one of these, which just gives you x here. So that's where that comes from, and that's it. Now, of course, I could divide by things that are more complicated than x, but it doesn't really matter. If things cancel, they cancel. If they don't, they don't. You know, so usually people skip that step there. They just divide each term by x. But I was showing you why that works. You know, what rule do we have of mathematics or of real numbers, actually, that makes this work, that makes this correct? Yeah, and sometimes people will just do the canceling in their head, especially if it's this simple. But I would be cautious about that, especially if the term in the denominator gets more complicated. So we're also using this rule, which is that a to the n over a to the m equals a to the n minus m. Essentially, we're using it by canceling vertically, right? Canceling by division. And since they're integer exponents, we can think of it as number of factors rather than subtracting the exponents. But we really are subtracting those exponents. So like here, 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 1, the exponents, 1 minus 1 is 0, so that's just 2. And then this one just stays the way it is. And the second one here is really the same thing. So it's just canceling. Well, this is the same if A and B are the same, right? AA, right? So they're closely related, let's say. So this is the example, like how it would be worded. Write as a sum and or difference of fractions in simplified form. So the simplified is doing the canceling at the end, the canceling of the denominators like here and here. And you're just supposed to divide each term by 6x. That's what it means. Write as a sum or difference of fractions like this, see? Now that doesn't look like a fraction, but so they don't really want you to write that over 1 and that over 1. They're including these as fractions, okay? So you want to simplify it. So that's going to be, right? You just put each thing over 6x, pretty straightforward. Now remember, even numbers, there's always a 2 that cancels, so don't miss that. You have to reduce the coefficients as well as the x's, right? So common factor of 2. Right, so you factor that out, you end up with a 2 and a 3, and the 2's cancel, or just divide both by 2. These cancel, those cancel. And remember, you're canceling by dividing. 6 over 6 is 1, x over x is 1, so this ends up being minus 1, not minus nothing. Okay, and here, divide that by 2, divide that by 2, because the 2's cancel. So it's pretty straightforward. Don't try to think that it's harder than it is, or you'll intimidate yourself when it's really not that difficult.